This is a live stream, and I'm going to take my time and not rush through this because first, let me tell you this, okay? If you're new to the channel, you got to go to the live section of this channel. That's where all my recent videos are. Go to the live section of this channel, okay? And only watch my prediction videos, okay? I have two predictions that on June 11th, there's Washington State is going to be struck. You got to get out of Washington State because uh, they're going to take a bite out of the Apple State. Okay, I'm not going to explain it all here, but it's the biblical beast out of the sea event. And who is the biblical the biblical beast out of the sea? It's Elvis. Elvis is the biblical beast out of the sea. And this beast that rises out of the sea, okay? His one of the heads of the beast seems to have had a head wound that a deadly head wound that healed, and the world wondered after the beast. And what better head to get a head wound than the one uh, that looks that compares himself to Elvis, which is Trump. Trump is the one who gets the deadly head wound and heals from his deadly head wound. Okay, and that event is going to happen on August 4th. So June 11th is the Washington State Beast Out of the Sea event, and Trump is the one who gets the head wound. Okay, on August 4th. So 6/11 and August 4th are my two predictions. Okay. And what's this about Elvis and what is this about Elvis and Trump? Because see, Elvis is the real Antichrist. Okay. When I say that, I'm saying that because they're copying, it's a counterfeit version of what God truly did, which is when Jesus was walking the earth as God in the flesh, because that's who Jesus is he came as the Son of God, but he was God in the flesh, okay? And while he was God in the flesh, God was still in heaven. So that's why they need these two, Elvis playing God in heaven, Trump playing God in the flesh. That's why Trump has to be uh, crucified and rise from the dead, okay? Okay? And that's what's going to happen on August 4th. He gets his head wound. He's probably pronounced dead, and he's in a coma or something. Somehow and then he comes out of it. Okay, most likely 4 days later. Okay, so now that you understand, that's what they're doing. They're trying to copy what God truly did, which was the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. These three are one. They're one God manifesting as three. All right. Now, so in this video, it's just mainly going to be about Trump's head wound. Okay, but it all connects to each other. You know, the Elvis Trump stuff and the two predictions. Anyway, so Elvis, when he was born, he had an identical twin that died at birth. Okay, that's why the Twin Towers fell. It was all for Elvis. And Trump is the replacement twin for that identical twin that was sacrificed at birth. Okay, now let's get into this. Okay, like this is information that I've shown already in the past. I'm just bringing it up again because that stupid Trump. If you watch the last video under the live section, I showed that Trump changed the name of the Kennedy Center. Go and watch that video, and you'll understand what I'm talking about here. All right, let's get into it. So the word twin. Hold on. So the word twin, because I told you Elvis had an identical twin that died at birth. And his, just forget about the fact that his twin who died spelled it like this, equaled 67 too. And that's what all that 6-7 stuff is all about. But Elvis equals 67, the word twin equals 66. So the 6667 is super important. And it just so happens that the square root of 44 is 6.6 and the square root of 45 is 6.7. Okay? And this is the first time you see the succession of 666 in numbers when it comes to, numerically. And who was the 44-45 president? Donald Trump. Trump was the 44th person to become president, 45th president to take office. Okay. And it just so happens Obama was the 44th president, but 43rd person, but 44th president born on August 4th. That's exactly why he was chosen president before Trump, because it connects to Trump getting his head wound on 8/4. Now, like I said, if you watch my videos, you'll see how I connect every single piece of the puzzle to those dates, okay? Anyway, so Trump is the 44-45 president, okay? And do you know that MLK died on 4/4? Okay? But it was a leap year, so it landed on the 4/5 day. Okay? Because it was a leap year, even though it was 4/4 the date, it landed on 4/5's regular date. And again, I've shown all the connections with that. I'm not going to show it here. But I wanted you to see something. Notice that square root of 44 being 6.6. Who died on 4/4? It was MLK, right? Who died that same year? RFK on 6/6. You see what I'm talking about? And because it's all about the twins. And who did a comeback special that year? On December 3rd, 1968, it was Elvis. Elvis did a comeback special. Okay? And it's all about, it's like a twin death here ritual. You know what I mean? And you'll see how it connects. But what I'm saying is MLK was killed on 4/4, and the 44 square root is 6.6. And RFK was killed on 6/6. You see what I mean? And MLK, let me just tell you this real quick. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee, where Elvis lived and died. So his name was King, Martin Luther King, right? Elvis was known as the King. So the King had the King whacked in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm sure that's just a coincidence, right? And the fact that, and by the way, when I say whacked, I mean, in quotations, like, I'm not sure I believe that, if you know what I mean. None of these deaths do I believe. But anyway, but I wouldn't put it past them to do it. But just, the reactions of the families just seem weird. That's all. But anyway, so MLK was killed in Memphis, Tennessee, where Elvis lived and died. So the King had the Martin Luther King whacked. Get it? And it just so happens that Washington State, Seattle, which is connected to this Elvis puzzle, because Elvis did a movie called It Happened at the World's Fair, where he was in the Seattle Space Needle, right? He was the first one to have anything to do with that Seattle Space Needle. And Martin Luther King is now named after Seattle's King County. Seattle is in King County. And now that King County is named after Martin Luther King. All right? So it's another connection to that place. And by the way, just for information, the word Space Needle equals exactly the words fallen angel. Fallen angel equals Space Needle. Exact same numbers. The forward numbers, backward numbers, everything's the same. Because Elvis is the fallen angel. And he was the only one. I mean, he was the first famous person to be in that Space Needle when it opened. Okay? Now, now watch this. So I told you from Elvis's birth to the day the Twin Towers fell was 66 years, 8 months, 4 days. There's that 8/4 again. And 66 is the word twin. And the Twin Towers fell. And Elvis's identical twin died or was sacrificed at birth, like I said. And Trump is the replacement twin. That's why you have the 8/4, because Trump's going to get his head wound on 8/4. Okay? And so again, we're back to the twin connection, right? And watch this. So do you think this is a coincidence? So if you add up all the numbers between 1 through 66, it equals 2211. If you add up all the numbers between 1 through 66, it equals 2211. And I just told you twin equals 66. That's why we're doing that. And JFK's death date is 11/22, same numbers, 22/11. In the UK, they say 22/11 the date. We say 11/22, but same numbers, 66. And JFK, his brother, was killed, right? His brother, RFK. And look at this. RFK, when he died, how old was he? 42 years old. Elvis died on 8/16 at the age of 42. Look how long this guy lived. 42 years, 6 months, 18 days. It's the same numbers. 8/16, 42. Elvis died at age 42 on 8/16. Look at that. And even these numbers are connected to June 11th from Elvis's birthday, but I'm not going to show it here. But just to prove to you, again, these are all impossible coincidences, okay? So the word twin equals 66, right? One, and wait a minute, where do I have it? So the word twin equals 66, right? And 1 through 66 equals 22/11, right? Which is JFK's death date, 11/22. So the 66 is 22/11 it's connected to, right? So JFK was killed on 22/11, 11/22. RFK was killed on 6/6. Do you see how ridiculous this is? Do you understand? Twin equals 66. 1 through 66 equals 22/11, and RFK was killed on 6/6. All right, before I move on, do you guys understand what I just showed? All right, this is something I've already shown over the years. I'm just rehashing it because of Trump doing what he did with the JFK Center. All right, let me put this down for a second before I show you the rest. I just want to make sure you guys understand that. All right, do you understand that, right? All right, let's keep going. I don't want to waste any time. So now if you add up those numbers, you get 17 and 28. If you add up those numbers, 17 and 28. Why am I bringing that up? Because look at this. How old was Elvis and Trump in 1963 when JFK was supposedly killed? How old was Elvis and Trump? 28 Elvis and Trump was 17. 28, 17. That's 28 and 17 right here. You see that? 28 and 17. And you add up 28 and 17, you get 45, which is Trump, being the 45th president, right? And of course, the very next year, it adds up to 47. But forget about that right now, because there's much more to this puzzle, which I'm not going to explain here. But so you have the 45 connection. Sorry. Give me a second. So let me show that one more time. So Elvis was 28, Trump was 17 the year JFK was killed. And if you add up JFK and RFK's deaths, it equals 17 and 28. And that's how old they were in 1963 when JFK was killed, 28 and 17. And why is this important? Because where did JFK get his head wound? In Dallas, Texas. Texas is the 28th state. Where's Trump going to get his head wound on August 4th? In the 17th state. There's that 28-17 again. I mean, can you believe this, man? So Elvis and Trump were 28 and 17 the year JFK was killed. JFK and RFK's death dates add up to 17 and 28. 1728 is how old they were in 63 when JFK was killed. 2817 equals 45. Trump is the 45th president. Trump's head wound is going to be in Ohio, on this, which is the 17th state, and JFK was killed in the 28th state. Okay, do you see how incredible this is? What I'm showing you now. Here's another connection. Here's another connection. Where was Trump born? In New York, which is the 11th state, where of course 9/11 happened too. Trump's birthplace is in New York, the 11th state. Trump's head wound's going to be in Ohio, makes 28. Do you see? Do you see what I'm talking about? Are you getting that? Are you getting that? Before I move on, I just want to make sure you guys got that, understood it. Okay? Now, where was Trump born? In New York, right? Where was JFK born? In Massachusetts. New York is the 11th state. Massachusetts is the 6th state. 611. Which is 17. Okay? You see what I'm talking about? You see how every single piece of the puzzle connects? Because Ohio's the 17th state, and you have the 611, which is the date the Washington state gets struck, right? Do you understand the impossibilities of all of this? Okay? Now, here's another weird coincidence. Here's another weird coincidence. How old was Obama and how old was Trump in 1963? See, if you add Obama to the Elvis, who was 28, and Trump was 17, 28 and 17 is 45. You add Obama's age, you get 47. You see what I'm talking about? There was a 45 connection and if you add Obama's age, you get 47. But look, so Trump's age was 17, Obama was 2 in that year. And look at this. If you add up Trump's birth date, it equals 85 total. 6 plus 14 plus 19 plus 46, which is his birth date, equals 85. And then you add Obama's birth date, 8 plus 4 plus 19 plus 61, which is his birth date, equals 92. You get 172. Look at that. 172 and 63 when JFK was killed. You see what I mean? And if you think that's a coincidence, because, Trump's going to get his head wound on 8/4. You understand? From Obama's birth, that year, when Obama was born, to the exact day JFK was killed, it's 840 days up to that day. If you add the day, it's 841. 840 days from Obama's birth to the day JFK was killed. And I told you Trump's going to get his head wound on 8/4. That's 8/4 with a crown or a portal. Okay? Now, here's some more weird stuff. Remember, this is all about, because Obama's born on August 4th. That's why Trump's going to get his head wound on August 4th. And Obama was born in Hawaii. Hawaii is the 50th state. JFK was born in the 6th state. JFK died in the 28th state. Added up, 84. I mean, come on, man. Are you seeing what I'm showing? Is this just another coincidence? Him being born on August 4th and Trump being the one who gets the head wound on August 4th. Okay? Again, perfect puzzle. And of course, JFK's birthday, the guy who got the head wound, his reverse date is August 4th. The reverse date of 529 is August 4th, because 529 is the 149th day of the year, which leaves 216 days in the year. The 216th day is August 4th. So the day JFK was killed, JFK's birthday, the guy who got the head wound, his reverse date is August 4th. Okay? And remember, Trump, 6 times 14 equals 84. Trump was born on 6/14. Okay? And August 4th is the 216th day of the year, right? And 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. And Elvis Aaron Presley, his full name equals 216, right? Now, speaking of the twin connection, because Elvis, I told you, was the identical twin, and I told you if you add up all the numbers between 1 through 66, you get 2211. Now pay attention. All right. So 1 through 66, if you add up all the numbers between 1 through 66, where is that stupid card? Hold on, folks. I need to show that real quick. Give me a second here. Look, remember, between Elvis's birthday and 9/11 was 66 years, 8 months, 4 days, right? Because the 8/4 is when Trump gets his head wound. Twin equals 66. It was 66 years, right? From the day Elvis was born to the day the towers fell, the Twin Towers. And 1 through 66 equals 2211. So now, when you see this, pay attention. When you're looking at this card, okay, 2211 on the clock, okay, military time, 2211, the hands are on 10 and 11. 10:11 is military time, because first is 10:11 in the morning, then 22:11 at night. And look at this, 611 minutes is 10:11 on the clock. And then the next time 10:11 comes around is 22:11. And I just told you that 1 through 66, twin equals 66, is 2211, the amount, 2211. And 2211 is 1,331 minutes total. 22 hours, 11 minutes is 1,331 minutes. Look at this. 1,331 minutes connects to the 2211. The prime numbers of 6 and 11, 6 is 13, 11th is 31. You see that? 1331 connects to the 2211, connects to the 1011, because that's what the hands are on, is 611 minutes. You see what I'm talking about there? Okay? Okay, do you understand? All right? And of course, Trump, he's the 17th. Ohio's the 17th state where Trump's going to get his head wound. And Ohio equals 47. If you just add it up, Trump's the 47, 45. 45, 47 is 4 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 7 is 11, 9, 11. But anyway, and Trump, his birth to JFK's death is 17 years, Okay. And what else? Oh, here's something interesting. Let me just, before I show you this. So I told you guys that when you're 0 years old, when you're first born, you're 0 years old. So when we do our counting, we say 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't say 0. So that's why the binary numbers, binary codes for the computer is how it works, like whatever the heck, is 0 and 1. So 0 is 1. So that's why you can count from the day they turn 1 year old also as a count. So instead of starting from the day they're born, you can also start from the day they turn 1. Okay? So now, if we started from Trump being 1 year old instead of 0 years old, his birth, look what happens. Look what happens look. So from the day Trump turned 1 year old in 47, Trump's the 47th president, to the day Elvis died, look at that. Elvis died is 11,022 days. You see what I mean? But that's from the day he turned 1 and 47th president. You see what I mean? So that's another connection right there, right? And JFK, oh, and yeah, I know that JFK was killed in 63. If you add up all the numbers between 1 through 63, you get 2016. That's when Trump was elected, and that's when Obama gave it over to him. So because August 4th is the 216th day of the year. See what I mean? And that's when Trump was elected. And 1 through 63, which is JFK was killed in 63. You see what I mean? It's connected to August 4th because it's got the 216. All right. Now, look at this. If you were to, I know this is not doing it properly, but it's interesting. If you put 11/22/63, the day JFK was killed, and then put John Fitzgerald Kennedy, look what it equals, 614. Very fishy right there, right? Look at that. And JFK was born in the 6th state, died in the 28th state. But you see what I mean? Trump was born on 6/14. 11/22/63, John Fitzgerald Kennedy adds up to 614. And look, you get the 841. That's how many days from Obama's birth to JFK's death was 840 or 841 days. Look at that. Okay. Now, you know that from JFK's death to next year, 6/11, when Washington State gets struck, is 22848 days. Why is that important? From JFK's death to next year when Washington State gets struck is 22848 days. Look at this. Elvis died on the 228th day of the year, and he's turning 48. I mean, he turned 48 years dead. He's been dead for 48 years. So 228, he died on the 228th day of the year, and 48 years. See what I mean? So from JFK's death to 6/11 next year is 22848 days. See, 228 and 48. Okay? I'm just saying, it's interesting, right? And of course, the same thing's going to happen on August 4th. He's still going to be 48 years dead, you know. Look, this is just, this is just 1/1000th of the info on this JFK Trump connection, you know. It's all connected to each other, folks. I ran out of paper. Huh. Oh well. I could have showed you much more. Like, I'll give you an example. 6/11 on the Julian calendar is 5/29 on our calendar. Or 6/11 on whatever. 6/11 is 5/29. And it on the old calendar to this calendar, if you convert it. So 6/11 would be 5/29, which is JFK's birthday. So even 6/11 connects to that. That's my point. Anyway, like it's so convoluted, but at the same time, like I said, it's a perfect puzzle, you know. If you just sit and just look at what I showed and wrote it down yourself, if you just wrote it down yourself, you'd understand what I'm saying. Yeah. And folks, this ain't nothing. Wait till you see what I have. You know, I'm holding back so much, you know, because I have to show it in increments. Not increments, but one at a time, man. It's just too much, man. It's just too much info. You know, because you don't understand. They have to do this. They are, you know what they say that to break into something, they break in through the back way. There's something called a firewall or something. I don't know something always about breaking in. And that's what God says, you know, if they break in any other way than to going in, you know, through Jesus, there's no other way into heaven. So they're trying to break in somehow and how do they break in? Um, Listen, I don't want to explain it here, but because it's you'd have to get a different video for me to explain it all. All right, because that's what the mark is for. The mark is to take one of God's children and have him take the mark. That's how Satan would somehow break in or win this battle. He doesn't win the war, but to win this battle. Okay, so don't ask me. I'm just telling you there are things that I can't explain here. All right, they're trying to break in through one of his children. That's just like why did Satan tempt Jesus? What was the reason? Think about what I'm telling you. Use your brain. Anyway, there was something else I was going to tell you guys. I can't remember now. Yeah, well, I was right before I started the video. I go, "Oh, I got to remember to say that," but I can't remember now. It was. All right, I'm gonna end the video now. I'll see you guys. All right. I know I'm forgetting something, but it's okay. Make sure you guys watch this from the beginning. And can you guys thumb up the video when you go? There's 57 people in the chat. Can you guys all thumb up the video? And make sure you comment under the video and talk about what you saw in the video. All right? And if you're new to the channel, go to the live section of this channel. That's where all my recent videos are. Okay? End of video. Jesus is God. End of video.